Morning. We're all talking about tax and where our money's going and how it's being spent and things like that. Okay, there's a couple of things you need to know about tax. At no point can the tax people speak about your account. It's Data Protection Act. So I could go anywhere and say, I pay my tax, and not do it. Because if the tax people turn round and say, well, he hasn't, they've broken the Data Protection Act. Okay, that's how it's safe. This is the law and how the law works for those who are rich and them. Now, I went to a conference some years ago and heard someone talk about tax avoidance and non-paying of tax. It was back. I'm going to tell you a few things I've come across in that. Now, he said, if you can imagine this is the amount of tax needs to be paid every year. This, not even filled up, is the tax that is paid. And if you use this is the tax that's avoided. Now, if I blatantly turn around and say, I'm not paying my tax, I've broken the law. If I move the money about and ask why I should pay the tax and query it and adjourn the court case and all of that, that's not illegal. A film to watch, I believe, it really is amazing for this, is Laundromat. Do you know why all this tax thing and all this is complicated? It's so that you don't know about it. The FBI knew nothing about what was going on till they nicked some stockbroker with about 20, 30 grand of coke, and he's the one who put them onto it. I'm not talking a few shillings, billions and billions and billions of tax is being avoided by people, a small bunch of people. 95% of the British wealth and power is controlled by 8%. Okay? We have no longer got a class system. It's us and them. Now, so you're going to do a gig and you want to get the Rolling Stones to play. So what you do, you contact their agent who puts you on to Rolling Stones Limited, and the Rolling Stones Limited sent a bunch of representatives. Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood. Was Charlie as well, but he's dead now. And I think Bill Wyman's coming back into that. Okay, they all sent that. They actually are with the management, they are the directors of that company, which will be registered offshore. Okay? That's the situation. That's why we're in this mess. Okay, all this COVID, it's just it's a screen to blank out of it. The amount of people. We are talking a shitload of people have not paid their tax or not paying their tax. We're talking millions here. We're talking billions of pounds. That 8% was roughly about 5.5 million people. You work that out. You start working out. If they just paid 100 grand, you work that out. That's a lot of bloody money. And that's why your hospital has a waiting list. It's not because of the unemployed. It's not because of the foreigners or anything like that. We have a lack of housing because the government has not built any council houses. You know, we gave out mortgages like candy. I mean, we live in a society where a 21-year-old can leave university or art college in 45 to 50 grand's worth of debt. Debt is profit, not for you, but for others. It really seriously is. And you might find that debt recovery company that's coming after you for that debt is owned by the same mortgage provider as that. This is how it works. I mean, if even Google just stomped up, they're worth £1 trillion, $1 trillion. If they even just paid a couple of million, it wouldn't even put a dent in it. So what you do, what this 8% do, is they control the media. And they tell you all these things. Again, I've just seen an article that Bono said, we pay a lot of tax. Again, no one can query it, Data Protection Act, because his lawyers will deal with that. We've seen this so many times. If you're rich, this is how you stay rich. Honestly, I cannot recommend the film Laundromat. It sews it all up. It tells you everything about it. It's a brilliant film. One of the best films I've seen in years. And this is the reality. COVID and all of these other things that have gone on, they're just a blanket screen. Okay, they are there to make you think that. Okay, it's called avoidance. Some of you can remember the Iranian embassy when the SAS went in. They didn't show you the 20 of them coming through the back. That lot was just to avoid it. That's how it works. Look at the shiny thing. Okay? You need to also check out Edward Bernays, The All-Consuming Society. You know, that piece of plastic in your wallet or in your purse, that's the ruler of you. Where do you come in your wages? Where do your children come in your wages? They come last, if there's anything left. The first to go is insurance, national insurance, and tax. Then your mortgage, then your utility bills, and then you and your family. That's why. We live in a society that is so rolling down the hill like a snowball, it is incredible. This is what the reality of tax is. This is the reality. The Iraq War, the first 9 months cost taxpayers £9.4 billion. We were there, it cost us £1 billion a year to keep the British soldiers there. You are not going to get much change out of £1 trillion for the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Seriously. They had to fly everything in. Everything had to come from England. Every supply, everything that Johnny Soldier needed had to come in from England. You got Nimrods flying £4,000 a minute. Fuel, things like that. This is the reality. This is what you're paying for. You're paying for all this stuff, and this is what's happening. And this is the reality of tax. And it's huge tax dodgers and that. I'm going to finish on this. I watched a documentary about this. And they go to this prison. It's an open prison. And the guy sits in his cell. He's doing 18 months. And they go, how much tax did you avoid? And he went, close to 10 million. In the next cell, there are two guys who got nicked with 20 grand's worth of weed, and they're doing 4 years. This is white collar and blue collar crime. This is the facts. He's going to get out in 9 months. This guy being released. As long as the money doesn't come back into this country, they can't touch it. I will finish on this actually. When Starbucks was brought up in Parliament about non-paying a tax, David Cameron turned around and said, they've done nothing illegal. Which one of the backbenchers said, who passed this law? I didn't do that. About 300 people decide everything for you. That's 300 people out of 66 million people. Peace and out.